Simple Speed Secrets. Simple sprint training secrets to increase running speed and transform your body. Narrated by John Hawkes. Introduction. Hello and welcome to our short beginner's guide on increasing your running speed and also transforming your body with sprint training. Sprinting is an excellent form of exercise. Whether you are actively training for competitions, playing competitive or social sports, or simply using it as a part of your cardiovascular routine. To begin this guide, we're going to spend a few moments discussing what sprinting is and isn't, and also take a look at the history of sprinting. What is sprinting? Sprinting is defined as a competitive running event that is 400 meters or less. Most sprinting events are 100, 200, or 400 meters. Most of them last less than 60 seconds because sprinters are running as fast as they can during the entire length of the race. Some sprinting competitions include relay races that involve 4 runners, each sprinting a certain distance. Sprint in a training sense can also mean doing a particular cardio exercise with all-out intense anaerobic effort for a brief period followed by rest. Sprinting versus running. Although sprinting and running use the same muscle groups and are essentially the same thing, there are some key differences. Sprinting, as mentioned before, involves athletes moving as fast as they can for the whole sprint in an anaerobic environment, making it much more intense than running. From a metabolic standpoint, that means you are using glycogen rather than oxygen for your muscles, which wears you out a lot faster than a well-paced run. Running, on the other hand, is slower and less intense than sprinting, so events are much longer and require aerobic fitness. Running competitions include the 5K, 3.1 miles, the 10K, 6.2 miles, half marathons, 13.1 miles, and full marathons, 26.2 miles. Running uses oxygen to keep you going, so you can maintain your pace for longer, which is why you have to run for at least 10 minutes for it to be considered exercise. Origin of sprinting. Sprinting dates back farther than any other competitive sport. In fact, it was the first type of athletic competition that was ever recorded. The earliest record came from the original Olympic Games in 776 before Christ. Some experts believe that sprinting may have been the only competition at the very first Olympics. At that time, that race was one state in length, which is about 200 meters. Modern Olympics. When the modern Olympics were created in 1896, they included 2 sprinting events, 1,000 meters and 400 meters. Then, in the 1900s, the 200-meter dash was added. Relay races were included starting in 1912 with the 4x100 race and the 4x400 race. At that time, only men were allowed to compete in the Olympics, but when women were included in 1928, sprinting events were on the list. Benefits of sprinting. There are many benefits to sprinting. It can increase your maximum heart rate and capacity to exercise. Sprinting also burns a large amounts of calories in a short amount of time and can boost your metabolism, making it a great way to lose weight and transform your body composition without needing to spend hours on a treadmill. Some people use sprinting as a part of a weight training program because it uses a big group of muscles all at once and helps to strengthen them. Well, that's a brief intro into sprinting training and what we'll be covering in this guide. In the following chapters, we're going to focus in on the different aspects of sprinting and help you develop a plan to get the most out of every sprint session. Are you ready to begin? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Why are some people faster than others? When you think of outstanding sprinters, you probably think of Usain Bolt. But what makes him so much faster than the average person? Surely there's more to it than a good training routine. In this part of the course, we're going to take a closer look at how a person's genetics and physical build plays into how fast of a runner they are. Muscle fibers. What type of muscle fibers you have will predispose you to be a better long-distance runner, sprinter, or leave you somewhere in the middle. Marathon runners tend to have a higher proportion of slow-twitch fibers, which help them to go the distance. Sprinters usually have more fast-twitch fibers, which allows them to go faster for shorter periods of time. The average person is born with a pretty even mixture of these two muscle types. However, there is some evidence that shows that you can get about 10% of these to switch by carefully training them So even if you weren't among the few gifted sprinters that were born with more fast-twitch muscle fibers, you can still train to get a few more on your side. Lactate threshold. This refers to how much lactate you can take before you have to slow down. Lactate is a natural waste product of muscles as they are working, particularly if they're working in an anaerobic state like when you're sprinting. A higher threshold means being able to run faster and that you'll be able to maintain that faster speed for longer, which is especially important when you are running at full speed. Fortunately, sprinting training helps to increase this lactate threshold. Physical form. This has a little less to do with genetics and more to do with your overall physical state. Obviously, if you're carrying a few extra pounds, you're not going to be able to move as quickly as someone who's not. This goes for muscle weight as well, which is why most of the sprinters you see are lean without much muscle mass to slow them down. Running form. Important points in your overall form include how your foot hits the pavement, how long your strides are, and how clean your gait is. All of these things put together and more make up your form. As you perfect your form through repeated exercises, you will become a better, faster, and more efficient sprinter. While some people naturally have a better form, it can be gained through practice. VO2 max. This is something that many middle and long distance runners are concerned with. It measures the maximum, max, volume, V, of oxygen, O2, that your body can process during exercise. However, because sprinting doesn't use oxygen for fueling your muscles, this is not something that matters as much to sprinters compared to other runners. We mention it here only because it is something commonly discussed among runners, even though it doesn't really apply to sprinters. Even though you may not have the genes to beat Usain Bolt at the next Olympics, you can work to improve all these things to make you a better sprinter overall. Chapter 2. Things to do before beginning a sprint training program. You never want to just jump right into a new exercise program, especially one that is as intensive as sprint training. In this part of the course, we're going to look at some things you should do before you start your sprinting training so that you minimize your risk of injury and maximize your results once you start your sprint training program. First, see your doctor. The first thing you want to do is to visit your regular doctor and discuss your plan to begin a sprint training program. Your doctor will likely want to examine you to make sure that you are healthy enough to do this type of training. Depending on your age and the overall physical fitness level, you may need to have your heart and lungs checked. If your doctor says that you aren't healthy enough to begin a sprint training program, listen to them. There are plenty of other types of exercise that you can do to get in shape. You may also simply need to get into better shape by losing some weight and building up some muscle tone before beginning. So be patient if this is the case. 2. Decide why you're doing it. Sprint training is hard, so before you begin, you want to make sure you know why you're doing it. This will help you stay focused during training because you have a specific goal in mind. Perhaps you're looking to help boost your weight loss by adding some intense cardio activities into your routine, or you want to compete in sprinting competitions. Whatever it is, keep that goal in mind while training. 3. Do your research. This sprinting training course is an excellent place to start because it gives you all the information you need to know on how to begin training as a sprinter. But don't let your research end here. You should also watch videos of Olympic sprinters to have a good understanding of how their bodies move while they are running. If you know anyone who sprints, ask them about it as well. 4. Make a training schedule. One of the best ways to keep yourself on track with your training is to set up a training schedule. Be sure to give yourself enough time during every session to warm up, train, and then cool down. All three of these are vital to any exercise program, especially one as intensive as sprint training. The most important thing is to pick a time of the day that will work the best for you. You won't be sprinting every day, so plan your schedule accordingly. Some days you'll be doing less intensive exercises to improve your form, and other days you'll be focusing on building up specific muscles through strength training. These various exercises will have to be spread out throughout the week so you don't strain yourself. Once you've followed all these steps, you'll be ready to begin your sprint training. Chapter 3. Introducing sprinting into a fitness program. If you already have a fitness program in place, adding sprints will provide a number of benefits for you. It will help you build up your lean muscle mass, lose more body fat by boosting metabolism, and improve your endurance. In this part of the course, we're going to show you how you can add sprinting into your existing fitness program. Where to sprint? It's important to find a good place to sprint because unlike jogging, you're not going to have a lot of time to think about getting around obstacles should one suddenly appear in your path. Make sure wherever you sprint, it has a good footing and you won't be worrying about distractions or interruptions. Because of the intensity of sprinting, a sudden stop or turn can cause injury. Some people recommend sprinting uphill, but if you're just starting off, you will probably do better on a flat surface and can then find a sloped surface to increase the intensity later. It's also not recommended to use a treadmill because of how hard it is to control the speed when you're going that fast, and the faster you go on a treadmill, the greater the risk of injury. How often to sprint? Because of how hard sprinting is on your body, you shouldn't do it more often than 2 or 3 times a week. If you are young, healthy, and physically fit, you can try it for 3 days, but if your body takes a while to recover for various reasons, you should only sprint 2 days a week to keep from overexerting yourself. To improve your sprinting, you should also include other muscle building exercises into the rest of the week. Warm-up. Every workout session should begin with a warm-up, and it's even more important when you're adding sprints to the mix. Sprinting uses your muscles at almost full capacity, and if you don't take the time to warm up first, then you're greatly increasing your risk of tearing and straining something. Depending on the type of exercises you normally do, you may have to add some extra warm-ups before sprinting. Some good warm-up exercises to include before a sprinting exercise include jumping jacks, knee highs, side shuffles, and butt kicks. There are many others you can use, but this will give you an idea of the high-energy types of warm-ups that will prepare your body and muscles to sprint without injury. Make sure you warm up for 5 to 10 minutes before beginning. Cool down. After you sprint, it is equally important that you cool down, which means stretching out the muscles that you used and allowing the muscles to relax slowly. You'll also want to make sure you're giving your body some time to recover during the workout, so you're not just doing hard the entire time. The point of sprinting is to push your body, but you don't want to push too hard too fast. As you continue throughout our sprinting training course, you will find even more detailed information on sprinting training routines, so keep reading. Chapter 4. Simple ways to improve sprinting technique for a beginner. The simplest way to improve your sprinting technique when you are just beginning is to work on your form. If you don't establish a good form early on, then you will waste time trying to correct your form and put yourself at a higher risk of injury. That's why this part of the course is going to focus on the proper sprinting form. Getting ready. Everything in your body should be facing forward. That means your shoulders, hips, and feet should all be pointing towards the finish line. Your eyes too should be looking frontward and looking at the track about 10 meters ahead. Prepare to engage your core muscles for added power by tightening your abdominal muscles and pulling your belly button inward. Your upper body, including your jaw, neck, and shoulders, should be relaxed, so take a deep breath before your sprint and purposely relax those muscles. If you are clenching them as you run, you will make your body work harder than necessary in these areas, taking energy away from the other muscles. Assuming the proper standing starting position is as easy as moving your dominant leg, right if you are right-handed, back slightly while keeping most of your weight on your non-dominant leg, which is at the starting line. Then, bend your knees a little as you bend slightly at the waist. Your arms should also be in position, with your non-dominant arm back and your dominant arm forward. Proper sprint form. Begin by pushing up with your front leg, using your toes to launch yourself forward. From there, every stride should look the same. Your dominant leg should extend outward until your knee is at the same level as your hip. Your ankle and knee should be at 90 degrees angles. Your opposite arm should be back and kept bent at a 90-degree angle. Then, you'll use your dominant leg to propel yourself forward and get your non-dominant, also called supporting leg, into the same position and continue until you reach the finish line. As you run, you will also need your arms to move in sync with your legs to improve speed. Keep your elbows bent at the 90-degree angles. your hands and shoulders relaxed, and move your hands in rhythm with your knees, from your hip up to your chin. When each foot hits the ground, you want to land first with your heel, then roll your foot forward to launch yourself from your toe as you did on your first stride. Having strong, powerful footfalls is one of the most important parts of being able to increase your sprinting speed. How to practice form. The best way to practice your form is during your warm-up, because it's a lot easier to remember everything when you're moving slower. If you're not working with a trainer or a seasoned sprinter, then you may benefit from recording yourself and reviewing the videos to see how well you did and where you need to improve. There are also tools that can help you, which will be discussed later in this course. Chapter 5. Basic Sprint Training Routine for Beginners. When you first get into sprint training, you will only be able to sprint for 2 days of the week because of the high level of intensity involved in sprinting. However, as your body improves and can handle more, you may be able to move up to 3 days per week. On those days, you will want to closely follow this sprint training routine for beginners. 1. Warm-up. Before you push your muscles to the max, you need to get them ready by warming up. There are a number of warm-ups that you can do to separate the sprint, so you can swap out some of these for similar activities to suit your needs and preferences. What's important is that you take the time to warm up before you begin sprinting. Briskly walk or jog for 10 minutes. If you are on a track, go around twice. Be sure to be practicing your sprinting form as much as possible during this. Find a vertical surface to do a forward and sideways wall swings. You'll want to do at least 10 of each with each of your legs. Do high knees by running in place for 1 minute while getting your knees up as high as possible. Do butt kicks by running in place for 1 minute while kicking your butt with your heels. Finish off with some bodyweight lunges for about 1 minute for each leg. 2. Interval training. Sprint training has to be done through interval training, which means you change your pace and work out intervals, rather than simply going hard for the entire training session. It's important to give your body time to rest and recover between sprints. We're going to give you 2 ways to break up this part of the training into intervals, one based on time and the other on distance. Method 1. Distance. Note, this method works best if you are using a standard 400-meter track to train on. Sprint for 400 meters, 1 complete lap. Walk for 400 meters. Sprint for 200 meters, 1 straight side and 1 curve of the track. Walk for 200 meters. Sprint 100 meters, either 1 straight side or 1 curve. Walk for 100 meters. Method 2. Time. Sprint for 1.30 minutes. Walk for 1.30 minutes. Sprint for 1 minute. Walk for 1 minute. Sprint for 30 seconds and walk for 30 seconds. 3. Cool down. Equally important as the warming up, cooling down properly will help your muscles relax back to normal without becoming knotted or tense. There are so many stretches you can do for each of the major muscle groups you will be working on, so pick a couple for each group that work well for you and do those during each of these parts of the cool down. Slowly jog or briskly walk for 15 minutes or 2 complete laps of the track. Stretch your hamstrings, stretch your quads, stretch your glutes, stretch your calves, stretch your abductors, and stretch your abdominals. In the next part of the course, we're going to focus even more on recovery options for sprinting training. Chapter 6. Sprint Training Recovery. In this section, we're going to expand on some recovery techniques that you can do after a sprint session to improve your body's ability to recover from the intense workout that you had. Proper recovery is vital to avoid excessive soreness and will allow your body to build up the right muscles to improve your ability to sprint. There are 3 main aspects of recovery that you're going to cover, so keep reading. Water. Staying hydrated is necessary for all of your body's functions, and is especially important when your body is losing extra water through sweat and working harder than normal. Avoiding drinking a lot of water before you work out because you don't want it sloshing around your stomach as you run. But be sure to drink at least 3 glasses, 24 ounces of water within an hour after your workout, then continue drinking for the rest of the day. Nutrition. If you're not giving your body what it needs to build your muscles up and recover from an intense workout, you're going to find yourself struggling day after day. If you want your body to be as healthy as possible, you can't do it with exercise alone. So if you haven't already made changes to your diet to improve your health, it's time to start. Shortly after your workout, you want to give your body a big dose of protein and a few simple sugars. Protein is what your muscles will use to repair the damage you did during the workout and make your muscles stronger. Simple sugars are important because you have likely burned through what you had in your body before. Having a protein shake with a piece of fruit is a perfect post-workout snack. About an hour after your workout, you'll want to eat a good meal that includes more lean protein, some healthy fats, and lots of vegetables. Getting plenty of vegetables will not only give you some more good carbohydrates that your body can use, but it will also provide you with a ton of antioxidants which help remove the waste your muscles burn during the workout. Sleep. You want to make sure that you're getting plenty of sleep when you're pushing your body hard for sprinting training. If possible, you should take a nap about 2 hours after your workout. The timing is important because it's about 2 hours after your exercise that your body really starts repairing the muscle damage, so allowing yourself to completely rest during that time will help your body focus fully on recovery. It's also important that you're getting enough sleep at night. Most adults should be getting between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every night. Sprint training and exercising in general should help you feel more tired at the end of the day, but if you're still not getting all the sleep you need, there are a number of techniques that you can try that will help you get a full night of rest every night. The bottom line with recovery is that the better you recover, the better you can sprint on the next training day. Chapter 8. What to look for when buying sprinting gear and apparel. Having the right gear when sprint training will help you run faster and avoid injury, but having the wrong gear will slow you down and can actually cause injuries. That's why taking your time and selecting the right gear at the beginning is so important to your success as a sprinter. It's also why we're taking the time in this course to discuss the gear that you will need. Running spikes. These are the most important part of your sprinting gear, so we're going to spend the most amount of time discussing them. Spikes are special running shoes that are designed for various field and track events, so you need to look for one specifically for the distance you'll be running. You should be able to find what you need at a sports or running specialty store. Spikes provide traction between you and the ground right where you need it. In sprinting, all the spikes are on the front part of your foot to allow you to grip the track and launch yourself forward with every stride. They have a lot of spikes compared to other running shoes and rarely have any in the heel portion of the foot since you don't need them there. Try on a few pairs before settling on what you buy. Most sprinters prefer to have their spikes to be snug compared to other types of training shoes and other events. Some even get spikes a full size smaller than the other running shoes. Although it's up to you to decide. Keep in mind that as you're running fast, you want your shoes to be with you 100% and not have any looseness that could trip you up. This will easily be your biggest investment when it comes to sprinting gear. While high-end spikes will easily cost you $100 or more, you can find a decent pair for around $50. However, these shoes should last you for several years, which makes them well worth the investment even if you have to replace some of the spikes along the way. Running shorts. The most important thing about running shorts for sprinting is that they are made of a material that is breathable, comfortable, and flexible. For training, they're really the only thing that matters. For racing, you will usually want something that is form-fitting as to limit your wind resistance. If you're planning on sprinting in competitions, it's a good idea to also practice in your racing clothes for familiarity. Running shirts. Everything that applies to running shorts also applies to shirts. The biggest thing to keep in mind when choosing a shirt for sprinting is that you want to make sure you are able to move your shoulders freely. This is why you see many Olympic athletes using vest or sleeveless uniforms. Warm-up and cool-down clothes. Because spikes are designed specifically for sprinting, you don't want to wear them during your warm-up or cool-down sessions, as this will make those harder and put more wear and tear on your spikes. So be sure to bring regular training shoes for those times, as well as sweats or other comfortable clothes that you can wear before and after your sprint training. Chapter 9. plyometric training. Although the primary focus of sprint training should be the actual sprint in itself to improve your speed and form, there are a number of other exercises that you can do to build up the muscles that you use to move fast. That's where plyometric training comes in. In this part of the course, we're going to explain what plyometric training is and give you 3 exercises that will help you with your speed. What is plyometric training? Plyometric training is also known as jump training because its main focus is on various high-intensity jumping exercises to increase your speed and strength. There are a number of different exercises that fall under the category of plyometric training, but you will have to be careful which ones you do because some are meant for strength training, whereas others will increase your speed. When adding plyometric exercises into your sprint training routine, be sure to do this on days that you are not sprinting. This is because these exercises are equally high-intensity exercises, and doing this along with sprints in the same day is too hard on your muscles. You should limit plyometric training to 2 days per week. Here are 3 plyometric exercises that will help you increase your speed. Forward bounce. For this exercise, you will essentially be sprinting 1 stride at a time. The goal is to use as much force as possible to move yourself forward into a long bound. Be sure to use proper sprint form for this drill as you drive yourself off the balls of your foot from 1 stride to another. This will help you maximize your power output for every stride you take and can help you lengthen your strides. Do 3 sets of forward bounce of 20 yards each while allowing yourself 2 to 3 minutes of rest between sets. Repetitive standing long jumps. This drill will help you coordinate your upper and lower body and will help you minimize the time you spend on the ground, which will help you move faster down the track. To do repetitive standing long jumps, begin with your feet in line with your shoulders, then jump forward as fast as you can. As soon as you touch the ground with the balls of your feet, launch yourself into another long jump, and so on. Do 3 sets of repetitive standing long jumps of 20 yards each, resting for 2 to 3 minutes in between sets. Depth jumps to standing long jumps. The objective of this plyometric exercise is to train your body to instantly explode forward when the balls of your feet hit the ground. To do a depth jump to a standing long jump, start on a stable surface that is at least 1 foot high. Step off and be sure to land with both feet on the ground. Then immediately perform a single standing long jump. Do 3 sets of 5 depth jumps to standing long jumps with 2 to 3 minutes of rest in between. Chapter 10. The importance of strength training and muscle building for sprinting. In this part of the course, we're going to give you several reasons as to why you should be incorporating strength training and muscle building exercises into your exercise routine for sprint training. All it can be boiled down to its simple physics equation, A equals F divided by M. Acceleration, A, equals force, F, divided by mass, M. Here are a few specific ways that strength training can help you run faster. 1. Increase force. Physics tells us that the greater the force of an object is, the faster it will move. This is also true when it comes to sprinting. The more force your body is able to create in your leg muscles, the faster you will be able to accelerate forward. By building up the right leg muscles, you can help improve the amount of force they are able to produce on every stride. 2. Decrease mass. Going back to that physics lesson, we also know that the smaller an object is, the greater the effect of the force that's being put on it. Strength training helps you decrease your overall mass by burning body fat, which will help you be able to go faster with the same amount of force. Being lighter on your feet while sprinting will also help to keep you from getting tired as quickly. 3. Reduce risk of injury. While sprinting, your muscles, joints, ligaments, and tendons all have to work at full capacity. If they are not already strong, then the strain of sprinting can lead to injury. Through strength training, you can build up these important parts in a more focused, slow-paced environment so that when you get to the track, they'll be ready to work together efficiently. 4. Improve balance. Chances are you naturally have one leg that's stronger than the other. While this won't affect your daily life, it will hurt your ability to sprint well and put you at a higher risk of injury when you are unbalanced. Through strength training, you can do single leg or single arm exercises to build up the muscles on the weaker side until both sides are balanced in strength. 5. Gain more fast-twitch muscle fibers. As we discussed earlier in this course, fast-twitch muscle fibers are the one you want more of so you can run faster. Although we still have a lot to learn about muscle fibers, we do know that through certain exercises, you can shift your ratio of muscle fibers to get more fast-twitch. By strength training, you can do targeted exercises that will ultimately increase your running speed. How to add strength training for sprinting. Schedule your strength training on days that you are not sprinting, and be sure to focus on a different muscle group every day. You should train the most on your legs and core muscles, but arms should also be included. If you are new to strength training, make sure you learn each new exercise and practice it well before increasing the weight, reps, or sets. It is important to do each movement precisely to avoid injury and to actually get something out of it. Chapter 11. Advanced sprint workouts for team and individuals. Once you get the basics of sprinting down, you'll want to begin to challenge yourself to keep getting better. To do that, you'll want to add some advanced workouts to your routine. Another way to challenge yourself more is to train with a team. In this section, we'll give you some advanced workouts that you can try on a team and as an individual. Team sprinting routine. Whether you simply want to work out in a group to keep each other accountable and to have more fun, or you're training with a team in order to compete, you'll need to do this a little differently compared to when you're working out alone. Here is a great team sprinting routine that you can follow with your exercise buddies or teammates to improve your sprinting abilities. Warm up as usual. Everybody spreads out evenly along the entire length of the track. Everyone begins jogging at a slow pace. One person sprints until they reach the person in front of them, then slows to a jog. The next person then sprints up to the next person in front of them. This continues until everyone has sprinted. Depending on the size of the team, you may be able to do several of these drills in a row, or you may need more time to rest between sets, but you should try to do this 3 times. Cool down as usual. Advanced individual routine. This routine is great for training on a track as you get more advanced. It's especially good if you're normally only sprinting straight lines, because it teaches you to sprint well on the curves of the track as well. It will help if you have 4 cones or other easy-to-see visual markers at each of the points along the track. But if not, then you can simply use the track itself, which should be marked. Warm up as usual. Place your cones at each corner of the track, the start of each curved or straight section. Sprint from cone 1 to cone 2. Jog from cone 2 to cone 3. Sprint from cone 3 to cone 4. Jog from cone 4 to cone 1. Walk 1 and 1/4 lap around the track to rest. Sprint from cone 2 to cone 3. Jog from cone 3 to cone 4. Sprint from cone 4 to cone 1. Jog from cone 1 to cone 2, and repeat. Cool down as usual. With this routine, if you start on a straight side, during the first half you will sprint the sides and jog the curves. Then on the second half, you will sprint the curves and jog the straightaways. To mix it up even more, if you are alone on the track, you can perform the second set running in the opposite direction.